Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going on a bit of a journey to figure out how knowledge itself actually works. We're going to trace an idea from, say, a dusty old textbook, follow it through a super complex scientific paper, see what happens when it goes into the mind of an AI, and finally, how it can actually change our day-to-day lives. It's a huge question, right? In a world where you can find an answer to literally anything, where do you even begin? Well, to figure that out, let's follow the path of a single idea, from its most basic form, all the way to its most complex, and then see how it can actually make a difference.
So, where does this quest usually kick off? For most of us, it starts in a place we all know pretty well, the good old-fashioned textbook, the kind of structured learning we all basically grew up with.
Yeah, books just like this one on chemical engineering, they're meant to be the bedrock, right? They're designed to give us that solid, comprehensive foundation on a subject. Everything's laid out, chapter by chapter, with clear, structured answers. But here's where it gets kind of weird and wonderful. You crack it open, and what do you find? A sweet dedication to the author's mom, a little disclaimer saying, hey, there might be mistakes in here, and get this, a request to hit up the author on Facebook if you find any. It's just this really human, kind of quirky reminder that even our most foundational knowledge is, well, it's put together by people. Okay, so from that textbook foundation, let's jump way ahead. We're going to the front lines, the absolute cutting edge of scientific research, where new knowledge is literally being created as we speak. And this is what that frontier looks like. We're looking at a real research paper on collagen supplements. This is where it all happens. You've got these super detailed data tables tracking tiny, precise changes in stuff like body mass. I mean, it's dense, it's specific. This is the raw stuff of discovery. And this is where most of us hit a brick wall, right? You go a little deeper into that same paper, and suddenly you're staring at terms like HSF1 dependent transactivation. I mean, what even is that? It's the specialized language of science, and honestly, it's like a different language altogether if you're not an expert.
But what's really important here is this little gem from the paper itself. Even the scientists, the ones who did all this work, are saying, hey, we don't have all the answers. They admit there are limits. So for all that dense data, there are still big question marks. It just goes to show you, there's always more to learn, always more to figure out.
So that leaves us with a huge problem. How in the world do you get from that super complex scientific paper to something you or I can actually understand? Well, this is where a new player enters the game. I'm talking about tools like Google's AI overviews. These things are designed to be game changers. They promise to take that massive flood of information, read everything for you, and just, poof, give you a quick summary you can actually use. It's like having a research assistant in your pocket. But, and this is a big but, there's a catch. Even the companies making these AIs put a big warning label on them. They're telling us straight up, this tech is new, it's still learning, and it can absolutely make mistakes. So that perfect summary might not be so perfect after all.
And then, of course, there's this, the classic roadblock we've all run into. You've got this incredible AI ready to give you the secrets of the universe, but it can't do a thing about a simple connection error. Kind of brings you back down to earth, doesn't it?
Okay, so let's get to the really cool part. How do we go beyond just having information and actually use it? How do we turn all this data into something that makes a difference, into real wisdom?
This is where a group like Blue Zones really shines. What they do is brilliant. They take all that complicated research, decades of it, on the healthiest, longest living people on the planet, and they boil it all down. They translate it into simple, practical advice that any of us can actually follow. A huge part of their focus is on what they call the life radius. Think about it. That's the area right around your home where you spend like 90% of your time. Their whole philosophy is about making small tweaks to that environment so that making the healthy choice becomes the easy choice, almost automatic.
So you can see the whole path laid out, right? You start with that dense, complicated research. Then it gets distilled into lessons we can all understand. Those lessons are used to help whole communities. And finally, you can bring it right into your own home. That's the full journey, from raw data to real life.
So when you look at that entire journey, from a quirky textbook all the way to a whole philosophy for living, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? In a world that's just drowning in information, what's our role in all of this? I mean, look at this. AI is getting incredibly good at the information part. It can synthesize, it's fast, it works at a massive scale. So what does that leave for us? It leaves wisdom. That's our superpower. The ability to take that information and add context, to apply it with purpose, and to really understand what it means for us as human beings.
And that really points to something deeper, you know? There's some knowledge that you just can't feed into a spreadsheet. I'm talking about ideas from texts like these. They're not about data points, they're about meaning, about the big why questions. It's a powerful reminder that while an AI can crunch all the facts in the world, that human search for purpose, that's always going to be our domain.
Which brings us to one last really big question. If AI is getting so good at synthesizing everything we already know, what does that free us up to do? With all that sorted, what are the brand new questions that only we can ask? What's the next great frontier for human knowledge that we haven't even thought of yet?